Good evening, guys. How you doing? I hope you're well. My name's James Boardman. I've been invited in here to help give some values, a focus, some tips, some guidance and direction, if you like, in terms of these very tough times. Hopefully, I can help you. What we're going to do is just wait for this to build up. Terry's asked me just to give it a couple of minutes just so allow people to come in. So if you are in, once you're in, click the like button, the blue thumb button, and just comment that you're here, where you're from, and it will be good to hear from you. Cool, so we got 3 on. As soon as you come in, guys, just start hitting the like button, comment, let me know that you're here. I think it's important to get that interaction between the two. Good evening, Man vs. Fat. I hope you're well. Hope everyone's good. So we're just going to bring you in. If you're watching back, you can just type down watching back just so the guys know that you're watching, all right? We're going to give it another minute or so, and then I'm going to sort of slowly slip in and get on and get in and get this done. So it's going to be really, very much about routine, really about productivity, really about the mindset that we want to approach in terms of how we should approach maybe this scenario that we're going through right now all around us, and making sure that we can really focus our energy and our time in the right places to be the very best version of ourselves. And I do think there's a massive opportunity here to come out the other end of this a much better individual, performing at a much higher level in life, okay? But we're going to go through some of those bits in a sec. If there are any questions, please just do fire them away in the comments. I will scroll back down and I'll get to them, okay? So in terms of a bit of background about me, my name's James Boardman. I'm a former Royal Marine Commando. I served as a sniper. Went to Afghanistan in 2006. I became a physical trainer in 2008 and spent 3-4 years as a Royal Marine physical trainer. Decided to leave the Royal Marines to come home to be around my kids. And that's when my sort of life turned upside down, really. I never really I never really found my place in the civvy street. I lacked identity. I lacked focus. I lacked drive. I lacked purpose. I lacked fulfillment. I lacked all of those things. And for 3 years, found myself in a very, very dark place. To the point where I almost ended up, was minutes away from taking, my own life, really, because I just all got too much. And then I kind of built myself back up. I built a local boot camp, which we ended up having nearly 250 members in between, something around that, I think. And I spent sort of 6 years of my life developing that. I then transitioned to working online with men, with dads, and I now run a brand called The Dad's Coach. I wrote a book called It's a State of Mind, and that was a very basic guide for people to be able to rediscover the very best version of themselves, okay? Make them more aware of themselves, make them understand that they are the priority, that you are the priority. And in terms of just making sense of everything that was going on for a lot of guys, the transition between 30 to 40 has a real mental and emotional and physical impact on themselves. So my job is to help guys understand that, to help find identity, to rediscover and re-educate them how to cope with everyday life, how to be structured, how to be focused, how to be productive, so that they can focus more on themselves. And one of the things that I do is try to make sure that they understand themselves better and understands that they are the number one priority before anything else. Because if you're not the number one priority, then not everyone gets the best version of you, right? We run a podcast called It's a State of Mind as well, and there's lots of content in there, and there's lots of stuff we do on the Dad's Coach page and Instagram page. So that's a little bit of a background for me, and I think Terry's brought me in terms of trying to help you manage your time and your energy and your productivity levels and routines during this very difficult time. So obviously we're going through a period right now that is unheard of. I very much doubt that we will ever go through something like this again. And I think that we have a real big opportunity here to become something incredible, so that when we come out of the other end of this, when we're forward thinking, you're definitely going to come out with something, a much better version of yourself. If we end up falling into self-pity and wallowing in victim mentality, then we're not going to grow. And when we don't grow, that's when anxiety and depression and low moods start coming in, and that's when it affects relationships and everything. So we have to be hungry for success in ourselves, as a man, as a leader in our family, as an employee, as a business owner. Okay, and I think that's something that's really, really vital at this time. Because what we don't want to do is go back to normality when all of this is past, and haven't sort of neglected ourselves through that period, then have to pick ourselves up as well as our lives. If we can be in the best condition mentally, emotionally and physically, and take advantage of the time to be around our families more than we usually are, to be able to spend the time that we've got sitting around our house to get fit, okay, to be able to reflect even more on whether the life and the direction we're going is the way we want to go, or whether to use that time to sharpen the sword in terms of our productivity, in terms of our routine, so that actually when we slip back into routine, okay, the distractions of life we can handle a little bit better. And we can handle something like this, we can handle anything, all right? And that's very much my mindset, and that's the mindset I approach to a lot of my clients, okay? So what I'm going to go through here is an example, a model of a routine. Now, the whiteboard I've got here is a lot smaller than the one that I usually use for my coaching clients. So you'll have to excuse the very tiny writing, but I will explain it for you. This is a model that you can implement if you're stuck at home, working from home. I'm going to talk through the different sections of it. I'm going to talk about the purpose of each section, and how it can benefit you and everything else that is going on, all right? So, let me just going to play with the camera so that you can see it better. Cool. All right, so what we've got right here, I'm just going to show you the board. It's flipped 180, so it messes me up a little bit. Okay, so the first thing we've got here, and I'm going to sort of go through this section. I'm going to go through the whole thing and we'll come back to each section. All right, so MR is morning routine. Okay, I'll come through this in a second. Then we've got some home time. Okay, then we've got deep work session 1, break, deep work session 2, lunchtime, deep work session 3, then admin or other, transitional routine, which I'll explain, and then personal space from 5:30. All right, so let me go through the morning routine with you first. Now, the morning routine is the biggest eye-opener for many of the guys that I'm working with. It is very difficult in a crazy world and work balance scenario for you to be able to find time for yourself. Now, prioritizing things for yourself in terms of your headspace, in terms of your physical activity, in terms of your clarity of the day, in terms of your reflection. We don't really get that time a lot. We're probably busy all of the time firefighting, and because we're firefighting a lot of the time, we're not actually prioritizing ourselves. We're not actually thinking about what we're capable of. We're not actually making goals. We're not actually looking at where we want to be in a year's time or 5 years' time or 10 years' time. There tends to be no plan. And a lot of that comes because we're so distracted and overwhelmed with life, the realities of life. Now, what the morning routine does is present you with some time to just you. So that means no telephones, no laptops, no work, no TV. It's just dedicated, structured time in developing your state of mind to be able to cope for the day with people, with situations, with scenarios. And if you can own your morning, you tend to be able to own your day. Okay? When you own your day, you tend to be able to own your week. And when you own your week, you tend to be able to own your month, and so on. And so the ripple effect continues. Okay, this is not something that you just get straight away. It's something that takes work. And for example, I've got a couple of guys. I've got like 30 guys on one of my latest programs, and we're halfway through after 2 weeks. And the difference between talking to them at the very start of this and to where they are right now, the morning routine is literally changed the way that they're functioning throughout the day. It's changing the way that their state of mind presents itself. Now, it does take sacrifice to want to get up, not press the snooze button and get yourself up, okay? But it is a sacrifice that sometimes you have to make in terms of being mentally, emotionally, and physically stronger. So the things that I look for are headspace. Now that can come in terms of meditation. It can come in terms of listening to a podcast, an audio book, reading a chapter of a book of some sort, but something really that is going to engage your brain and make you feel relaxed or fill your mind with some form of positivity. Now, meditation is a good one. I use an app called Calm. Okay, and Calm they do 10 minutes. They have a lady who talks on there, and it's really about focusing your concentration. And if you can weigh off meditation over a period of time, you are going to find yourself being able to deal with a lot of the noise that's around you a lot better. You're going to be able to concentrate a lot better. You're going to have to be focused a lot better. And it takes practice, but if you can get it down, you're really onto a winner, because it just clears your mind before the day starts, right? It declutters that mind. Then we look at something sweaty, so mobility, run, walk, home workout, throwing some weights around in the morning. Okay, especially when you're at home anyway. Maybe you go in a garage, you've got something. Maybe you go out and do your one daily allowance of exercise that we're allowed at the minute. Okay, whatever it might be, it's just getting a sweat on. So it's getting the endorphins going, it's getting you focused. Then we want clarity. So clarity comes in terms of knowing exactly what is in store for you on the day. So looking at your journal or your diary, what meetings do you have? What calls do you have? What are your priorities? And it's just reconfirming those things, because that just reduces anxiety, right? When you have control and clarity, it reduces anxiety and worry. And those feelings are much better to have. Feelings of control and clarity are much more beneficial than the anxiety and uncertainty. They make us feel better. And then reflection. So reflection could be in the form of gratitude, practicing gratitude, things that you are really grateful for, from the smallest of things to thinking about where your life's heading, to thinking about how you're performing in your life and your fitness routine or your job. And I don't think we have that time enough to be able to reflect. And when we don't reflect, we can't change or act, right? So we've got to make sure that we are using that reflection, maybe using a reflection journal, to help us be much more productive. And that little area, I call it the golden hour. Now in real life, when we're in the real world and we're not sort of dominated by a virus, we probably get an hour there, so we call it the golden hour. But here, you've got the opportunity to do this between 5 and 7, all right? And I would recommend you take it, because it will make a real difference. From here, I then put home. So now, obviously, we're in a different type of circumstances. This is normally time that you would get the kids up and help them get ready for school. This might be time where you're commuting to work, but you have the privilege of, privilege, maybe the wrong word, but you are at home. You're stuck at home, right? So between 7 and 9, this is time where you can have breakfast with the kids. You can kind of just chill out with the kids. Okay, you can all have cuddles in the bed. I don't know, whatever it is in your household that you do, it's just 2 hours of dedicated family time that you don't normally get. And this is a real opportunity to become a lot closer to your family and have that relationship. So that's something that I definitely would recommend you get in there, because, when you do start your work regime or your work schedule that's going to happen during the day, you've had that good family time. You don't feel obliged or guilt when you're trying to pull away, okay, every 2 seconds when your kids are pulling you aside, all right? So then what we go into is what I call deep work 1, all right? Deep work 1. And that will start at 9. So I still believe that we should try and stick to as much structure as possible while we're going through this virus, okay? And I work on a 90-minute sort of ratio here. So for 90 minutes, I'll end up being super focused and dedicating that hour and a half to my number one priority. Okay. And the number one priority would have been set from the very start of the week on the Sunday night, once I've done my planning for the week, which is a whole nother podcast / seminar. But my number one focus is the things that I need to do. What do I need to do? So that could be anything for you. You know, what is it that moves your business forward? Is the number one job that your company is asking you to do? And that goes on for 90 minutes. No phone, no interruptions. I know that's very difficult in this environment right now, but you're going to do your best to try and get your partner to work with you if they can control the kids, or if you've got the kids there, you're going to try and make sure that they understand that, you know, there's a work-life balance thing here, and maybe you have to do it sitting next to him. But I don't know. When we go into this, it's about really making sure that time is dedicated for you. All right. Then we have a break. Then we go into deep work 2. So maybe it's a lesser priority from 11 to 12:30. Then we're breaking for lunch. Okay. Notice how we're still breaking. We're keeping those routines. We're breaking. We've got lunch. We then go into a third deep work session to about 3 o'clock, from 1:30 to 3 o'clock. And what we've done in that chunk between 9 and 3 is made sure that we are focused on our work responsibilities. We've included breaks. So on those breaks, you can then hang out with the kids. You get to hang out with the missus. And that's something you wouldn't normally get during the day. So that's another opportunity to become closer with your family in amongst the work. But there has to be that self-discipline in between, right? And then I've kind of put here admin between sort of 3 and 5. So maybe the lesser jobs that are more important for you to be doing. Maybe you can catch up on a workout you didn't get done in the morning. That time is really free to use or utilize. That's best for you. And you haven't been out for the day yet, then maybe that's your time you go for your allowance, your one daily allowed exercise or walk that the government are giving us right now. Okay. We then go into a transition routine. Okay. The transition routine is about transitioning out of this workspace in our mind, okay, into personal space. Now, a lot of the times we carry the stresses, the emotions, and we carry the armor home with us, and we end up taking that home and taking it out on everyone, and everyone's treading on eggshells around us, right? Which is what we don't want. So we have to learn to try and slip out of one particular mode into the other mode. And that's very difficult when we're under the same roof. But there's certainly things that you can do. You can do things like workouts. Again, you could, if you haven't done them already, you could do a podcast, listen to a podcast to start implementing positive stuff in your mind. You can also do another meditation session. When in normal life, what I usually recommend for a lot of guys is just go for a walk, okay? Or if you're commuting, run home, cycle home if you can do that, or listening to positive environments or podcasts and audiobooks via train, via your car, in the real world when life is back to normal. But what you have to do is find that transition time. The most effective one that I haven't mentioned yet is the brain dump. Now, the brain dump is when you get like an open notepad and you write down in that notepad all of the things that you have to do tomorrow, all of the things that you achieved today. It's kind of like a daily review. And the idea is that you're clearing the clutter from your mind, because the baggage and the armor and the stress all comes from the brain. Everything is stimulated from the brain. And when you can brain dump, you declutter your brain and all the thoughts that are going on. That means that you can think clearer. It means you can be more relaxed around the family time and personal space. Okay. Now that is just one type of model you can do. That is pretty much like what I try to work towards. But there always will be curveballs, like kids not being well, like your missus not being well, like you not being well, like you getting a curveball from work, which completely like takes over the day. But I think the thing that we have to remind ourselves is how to be resilient, how to be robust with our thought process, how to be, whenever we hit a wall, we have to be able to adapt and overcome, and which is another one of those mentalities that I'm trying to implement with many people that follow me on the Dad's Coach. We've got to be able to adapt and overcome this situation. You've got to be able to progress by 1% each day. All right, that's our aim. Get 1% better every single day. When you're trying to lose body fat, when you're trying to change your schedule, when you're trying to change your patterns, your habits, your routines, they are all not going to happen overnight. If you try to do them as a collective all at once, it will not change. It won't make any difference because you'll end up getting frustrated and you're trying to do everything. So you've got to be able to focus on particular areas. Now, right now, I think one of the biggest things which is essential is your routine and your structure. They are two of the biggest things that you need to be on top of during this difficult time. And the thing is, if you develop it and you work at it and you work on the process, after those 12 weeks, when we slip it back to normality, if you have been able to manage a structure and a routine while you're under one roof, with all of the kids running around, with all of the constraints that you have against you, imagine how efficient your performance will be in terms of your fitness, your relationships, your personal development, your career, when you come out the other side of that. And there is so much opportunity for you right now during this difficult time to be able to sharpen the sword in everything you're doing. I truly believe that in 12 weeks, most people could come out being fitter, leaner, stronger, mentally, emotionally, and physically. And they are key points, absolute key points to your success as a guy who is trying to improve themselves over time. And it takes consistent action. It takes consistency with control and clarity along the whole way. Okay. If there's any questions on that at all, please do just fire them in the comments below. I think it's really important. I'm going to add some other bits on here in terms of trying to give you some value to take away. Now, I think I just want to talk about a couple of things that I think you should avoid while we're going through this difficult time. And those three things are, number one, negativity. Okay, number two, drinking booze. Because those two things are two things that could become very infectious, okay, as we go into on the other side. I'm always thinking ahead, forward thinking, okay. So if negativity comes in the form of watching Sky Sport and news all of the time, leaving it on in the background, okay, constantly looking at your Sky News app, constantly looking at Facebook and what everybody is saying and the next myth or rumour that's coming up, okay. Those type of things you have to get rid of because they will affect your state. So if you wake up in your morning routine and you go to your phone and you go straight on social media and you see negative, that is what's going to seep into your brain. Okay, and that's what's going to take over your brain. And that's how you're going to start your day. And that's start going in 1% in the wrong direction. Okay, so we need to purge negativity. So we need to get rid of your Sky app on your phone. You need to get rid of the people on your Facebook feed that are talking crap, okay, and making stuff up and constantly moaning and complaining. Your success and your mindset is dictated by the people that you hang around with. Okay, if you want to hang around with 5, 6 different successful people, then you'll become successful yourself. If you hang around with like 5 negative people, that's how your mindset will end up interpreting. Oh, this must be the norm. Let's just do this. Okay, so avoid that negativity. Okay. The second one was booze. Now, booze is, we found ourselves last weekend, it was a bit of a punch in the face last week. We found ourselves only drink on Fridays, but we found ourselves drinking Friday, Saturday and Sunday, and we were like, whoa, let's slow down here, pony boy. It's a coping mechanism. It helps ease the anxiety and the uncertainty and just kind of make things feel better, and it's everyone's downfall. So we must ensure that we control those 3 elements, right? They are 3 key elements that we must avoid, okay? The boozing, the constant looking at Sky, okay? The constant social media negativity, those 3 things, okay? Because they will just continue with you. And if you keep drinking and when we go back to normal, you're in the habit of drinking, right? So you just continue that drinking. And the last one is, last bit for the night is avoiding arguing at home. Because right now you as a family unit need to come together as a team, you and your missus. And there'll be times when you just want to row, you just want to make your point, you just want to be angry. But it's about learning to work together. It's about having rules in the household so that if one of you is stressed and you need some time, you respect that. I need 15 minutes. I'm going up to the room. I'm just going to go and chill out. That's fine. And it's like recognizing and being more aware of everything that's going on around you. All right, so understanding and recognizing the moods that are building and try and do your best to help, because you're going to be under one roof maybe for like the next 6 to 12 weeks, more than likely. All right, and I think arguing does nothing for you. All right, you want to keep the state and the mood as happy as possible. That then helps with this productivity. For this to work, all of those other little implements need to work, guys. All right. So listen, that's really what I've got for you tonight in terms of value. I think probably people will watch this back as well, and I'm going to stick it on the podcast as well. So if there are any questions, I'm going to hang around for another minute to see if you do have any questions on anything at all. Boom, boom. And I hope you got some value from it as well, guys. What a big guy. Mm-hmm. Don't let him out. In. Yes, he is. In. No questions. No questions. Terry, thank you for bringing me on. I'm going to be introducing your speaker, which is going to be on the Friday, the 27th of March. It's going to be with Naz Suleiman. He's going to be on, so that's this Friday. Players can save and rewatch the videos at their leisure, so if you obviously haven't been able to make it tonight, you can look back and look out for this week's Man versus Fat Challenge in your league WhatsApp groups, guys. Alright, guys, so listen, it's been a pleasure to come on. Thank you very much for inviting me, Terry. If there's any questions, just place them in. I'll have a little check in the group every now and then over the next couple of days. And if I can help in any way, I'd love to be able to help you guys, all right? If you want to get hold of me, you can just, in fact, you can find me on social media, but like, it's called The Dad's Coach on Facebook and The Dad's Coach on Instagram. But email me at me@boardmanjames.com. me@boardmanjames.com. If you've got any questions or you need any help in terms of helping you, supporting you, or if anyone wants a 12-year-old boy that's driving me mental, you can have him. It depends who it is. Depends who it is. Thanks for showing up, guys. Take care. See you soon.